Today, we're at the Pullman Resort here in the Maldives.
This is our 15th hotel here in the Maldives, and we've been recommending it for a while, so we finally thought we'd check it out. We can't wait to tell you everything you need to know before you book. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Max.
I'm Marin.
We're Voyager Guru. We post weekly videos with travel tips, hotel reviews, and videos from some of our favorite destinations around the world. So, if you don't already, consider subscribing. And of course, if you like this video and you find the content useful, be sure to give us a thumbs up. It really helps our videos get more exposure and produce more videos just like this. As we mentioned in the intro, this is our 15th hotel here in the Maldives. We've been recommending Pullman for a while, so we finally decided to check it out for ourselves. And that brings us to our first category, which is location.
Location, we rate 5 stars. Pullman is located on the southern end of the Maldives in one of the largest atolls in the Maldives, largest and the deepest. It's called Gaafu Alifu Atoll, and it is absolutely beautiful.
The location here is stunning. The island is actually quite large with numerous beaches, a beautiful sandbank on the far side of the island that at low tide you can walk really far out on into this beautiful blue water. And the consistency of the sand is actually pretty nice as well. This is a natural island, it's not man-made, so you do have actually a really high quality of sand, less coral than in a lot of other places. And with 2 different jetties of overwater villas, there's a lot of variety of where you can be on the island. There's also beautiful beach villas. They're located on the 2 best beaches of the island and in a pristine, secluded location on the island away from the restaurants, which is a great feature of this location as well.
Riding bikes or even just walking through the winding pathways of the resort is incredible. All of the trees are towering and green, and the island is so lush. Being on a natural island like this is an incredible experience in the Maldives because you really get that tropical feeling as you wander around the property. This is a great property to get lost on because while it doesn't take you that long to walk around the beach side, there are a lot of windy little paths to get lost on if you want to or if you don't.
Now this island is a little further south, which does make it a little bit more difficult to get to than other resorts. However, because of that, you are very far from some of the more populated areas of the Maldives, and the marine life in this area is exceptional. There's a lot of really beautiful things. We've seen everything from turtles to eagle rays right off the jetty without even snorkeling. Speaking of the distance, that does bring us to our second category, which is lobby and check-in.
Lobby and check-in, we rate 3 stars. Lobby and check-in in the Maldives actually starts long before you ever arrive at the hotel. When you land in Malé for the first time, you're greeted by the agents from Pullman and taken to the domestic terminal. In our case, we did have a wait between when we arrived and when we were checking in to the domestic flight, so we were able to access the shared lounge in the domestic terminal. If you've watched our videos before, you will have seen us go to that lounge many times, both on Priority Pass and with hotels. Many hotels utilize this, especially for the domestic flights and not for the seaplanes. We waited in the domestic lounge for about 2 hours before we were taken by the agent to check into that domestic flight. Keep in mind, because it's a domestic flight, you do have similar luggage restrictions as you do on other airlines. Seaplanes do have lighter restrictions, however, you have about 50 pounds per person to fly on the domestic flight.
And once you arrive at Kudu Airport, you are met by a representative from the hotel. After you pick up your bags, we did have to wait briefly in a small lounge that they have next to the actual airport. I was a little surprised that they didn't offer any amenities at that time, maybe a cold towel or water. And I think that was one of the things that was missing kind of throughout the lobby and check-in experience were some small amenities like that. From there, we were taken to a boat where unfortunately we did have to wear life preservers, which was probably a good thing because it was a really rough boat ride. But the boat ride was relatively short, only about 15 minutes to the property. And then from there, the experience did improve quite significantly. When we arrived at the jetty, we were met with drums, an entire lineup of the staff who offered us cold towels and a nice welcome necklace. I thought that was a nice touch, and it did help to certainly ease the long journey. But again, it did feel like we were missing a welcome beverage, or even just water would have been a nice touch along the way.
After the welcome on the jetty, we were taken in a private buggy to tour the island and then get to our room where we did a private check-in in our villa. We have heard from other guests that most people have a shared tour as well as a shared drop-off, so that can add some extra time along the tour while you drop off other guests and they get their room tour and villa check-in.
I think there's a tremendous amount of opportunity for this lobby and check-in experience to be a 5-star experience, but I think they certainly need to work on the timing of the flights, making sure that when people are arriving in Malé, they're having less of a wait in Malé and ideally coming to the property a little bit sooner. And of course, along the way, I think there's a lot that the staff could do in order to ease that experience and make it just a little bit smoother.
The property does have a beautiful lobby. It is the central point of the hotel. There is also a natural lake right behind the lobby, so it's a really cool place to check out. That is where the reception and concierge are located. They do also have some activities that are centered around the lobby. For instance, at Art Week this week, we're able to see some of the local crafts happening, which we'll tell you more about in facilities. The tour ends at your room with an in-villa check-in, which was a really nice experience to be able to just get to the room and get started with your stay.
The front desk agent who checked us in was very sweet and gave us a full rundown of both the property as well as all of the amenities in the room, all the activities happening on property, and special things that we needed to know about our room, which brings us to our third category, rooms.
Rooms were 4.5 stars. The villas at this resort are absolutely beautiful and are all a great size. They have really focused on the outdoor space in all of the villas here on property, which we absolutely loved. We were in the overwater pool villa facing the sunrise side, and it was beautiful. All of the rooms are extremely private, and when you enter the room from the jetty, you are greeted by nothing but beautiful lagoon. There's a covered patio with an L-shaped sofa overlooking the pool and the lagoon beyond. When you enter into the room itself, there's a beautiful king bed, desk area overlooking your patio and lagoon, as well as floor-to-ceiling windows. There's a great hole in the floor for fish viewing in the living room as well, which is such a nice touch to get to see all the fish at night. But the bathroom is my absolute favorite part of the room. You enter from the back of the villa to an outdoor bathroom. There's a his and hers vanity, freestanding tub, outdoor and indoor shower. We love outdoor bathrooms in the Maldives, and this is no exception. It's absolutely beautiful to be taking a shower when the stars are shining or the sun is shining. Pullman's all-inclusive plan is excellent and does include the minibar as well, included in that package. The minibar is pretty extensive. You have a lot of alcohols. You have a Sangiovese red wine, a Pinot Grigio, gin, vodka, as well as a whiskey. All of those beverages are included, which we find really generous. They also have some juices, soft drinks, and unlimited water in the room. There are also some snacks that are included. You have 2 sets of Pringles, a Toblerone bar, and additional chocolate bars. All of the minibar items are restocked twice a day, which is awesome, so you can enjoy some beverages and snacks in the morning and the evening. While the liquors are brand name in the room, the wine bottles are not, and they're not available anywhere outside of the minibar. While they do offer a lot of different wines on property, those are not available in your room.
One of the best parts of these rooms is they are all quite sizable and have a tremendous amount of privacy. I was really impressed with the layout of how they've done both the beach villas as well as the water villas. All of them have an amazing amount of privacy, beautiful locations, and we tried pretty hard to identify a bad room or a less desirable room, and we weren't able to during this trip. So I think that's a real highlight, particularly if you're booking this on a deal and you're looking at one of the less expensive room types. The drawback that we did find in these rooms is that even though this is a pretty new property, I was really surprised to find that they had not done anything in terms of electrical amenities, including master switches. So this is a quite large room with a lot of lighting. It would have been nice to see that, as well as having automatic blinds. All of these rooms look out into beautiful locations. I think that would be an amazing touch that they could add to the rooms, particularly since this is a little bit newer of a hotel.
They do have a wide variety of rooms that you can book on property. It can be a little bit confusing when you're looking at overwater villas in general, so here's a little bit of the breakdown. If you're looking at booking an overwater villa or an overwater villa with a pool, anything that's not mentioned sunrise or sunset will be on the sunrise side. You can book a sunset overwater villa, and that obviously faces the sunset side. Something to keep in mind in the Maldives in general is that the sunset side is the predominant wind side here. So if you are looking at the sunset villas, do note that on a windy day, that can blow pretty aggressively into your villa. We loved our sunrise side room because we were completely protected from the wind. I highly recommend the sunrise side for that reason.
The ocean suites are also a great option. They are on the protected side of the island, so if the wind does pick up, it is a good side to be. One thing to note about the ocean suite side though is that at low tide, that tide does go very low. And so particularly right now, it is in the morning. It isn't for too many hours that it is that low, but it does make it a little bit difficult to swim in front of your villa. I did feel like the other overwater villas did have slightly more accessibility at low tide, although that tide is quite low. But again, it is only for a few hours a day that it is at that very low point.
On our last night, we had the opportunity to stay in one of the coolest experiences in the Maldives. This property has 2 Aqua villas which feature an underwater bedroom, and it is incredible. The upstairs of the villa does have a separate living room, separate bedroom, and a gorgeous bathroom, but the main feature really is that underwater experience. While this room does go for quite a lot of money per night if you're booking it separately, you can upgrade for a night while you're here. If you're looking to do something a bit more unique for a celebration than a romantic dinner, I highly recommend checking out this upgrade to the underwater suite. It's honestly incredible. It's about $1,400 a night, and you can upgrade for one night while you're on property if it's available, and it is such an amazing experience.
I just want to emphasize and reiterate that this is an overwater, underwater room.
Yes.
How cool is that? That is
So
like the
cool.
coolest thing ever. And by the way, we did do a full room tour of this room. Go check it out. We've linked it in the upper right-hand corner. Our fourth category is service.
Service we rate 3.5 stars. Overall, we've had some really positive service experiences. However, just like with lobby and check-in, there are a lot of areas of opportunity for the hotel to really excel in service that they're just not doing right now.
Of the staff we met and interacted with, everyone had a smile. Everyone was super happy to be working here. And it seems like the staff really enjoy working here. They all really wanted to put their best foot forward, but I do think that a lot of the staff seem to be a little bit greener than some of the staff that we've had in the Maldives. And though it does seem like management is very attentive, they're definitely missing a lot of pieces there and things that could improve significantly. It did also seem in general across the property that there were a lot of service experiences that tended to be either great experiences or somewhat average or subpar experiences, just simply based on who you interacted with and what their experience was or how they delivered that service. And that goes back to the inconsistency that we kind of found across a lot of things on property. Certain people did things certain ways, whether that was making a cocktail a certain way or cleaning a room a certain way. I think that depending on who you get or what your room experience is, you might kind of have a hit or miss experience with that. And so I do think that that's something that could be improved in the future from a training perspective, is just creating more consistency across property.
This property does not offer butler service, which is fairly standard across resorts of this caliber in the Maldives. In the absence of butlers, it would be great to be able to communicate with someone at the front desk in a more personalized way. Since there are no butlers and there is no app for the property, it can be difficult to manage your restaurant reservations, spa reservations, and activities as well.
One of the things with housekeeping is it does feel like they have a checklist of things that they're supposed to look at, but aren't really attentive to other things. For instance, say that the blinds aren't actually working correctly, and taking a proactive approach towards fixing or resolving some of those issues before a guest comes back to their room. That being said, we did have some amazing experiences with staff, some great interactions, and there are really some wonderful people across this property. The staff really do seem to enjoy working here at Pullman, and we found that across the board. I think that they get a lot of freedoms that they get here at this property that they don't necessarily get at other properties, but also likewise for that reason, that could be one of the reasons that the service is a little bit more laissez-faire in certain capacities. One of our favorite areas of service was the dining experience across the property. We really found those to be some of our favorites, which does bring us to our fifth category, which is dining.
Dining we rate 4 stars. Overall, we've had a great experience with dining on property. There's a main buffet called Malé that serves breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but they do also have a couple of a la carte options as well. Souk Oven features Italian cuisine and they're open for lunch and dinner. There's also Fat Chameleon, which is their vegan, vegetarian restaurant on property that's only open for dinner, and it was a fabulous experience. They do also have a couple of different outlets that serve snacks, which is the Hub, which is located next to Malé and is the main pool area. You can actually get food across property pretty much at any time of day, which is a fantastic option for anyone looking for a later breakfast or a snack between lunch and dinner.
One of the best parts about their all-inclusive plan is the flexibility. It is not an all-inclusive plan where you're gonna find a lot of asterisks on things that say upgrade for this or upgrade for that. There are no stipulations over ordering from a particular part of the menu, be it one appetizer, one entree, one dessert. You are allowed to order as many appetizers as you want, double up on your entrees, try some of this, try some of that, and it's extremely flexible. And as Maren said, throughout the day, really at any point in time, there are multiple areas that you can go find a snack, order something a la carte, or even find a buffet. And I think that's one of the best parts, hands down, about the program that they offer here.
They do also have some great inclusions, like they serve high tea at Soul Rising, and there's also a complimentary shisha from 3 to 5 at Saffron Affair. Saffron Affair was my favorite bar on property. It's a sunset bar that features hammocks over water, great cocktails and drinks.
I would say the weakest part of their food and beverage program would be the buffet for dinner. That was something that we did find to be not particularly consistent and definitely their weakest option on property. However, that being said, their breakfast buffet was fabulous and one of the things that we enjoyed, I think, the most on property. Whilst they do have an a la carte option for breakfast, which would normally be our go-to, we did really enjoy the breakfast buffet. The pastries in particular are amazing, delicately presented. The fruit slicing across this property on all things, what be it pastries or desserts, is so beautifully presented and well made. There were a number of options, be it eggs Benedict or more traditional egg options, as well as options like dosa or Maldivian breakfast. And then they had a great amount of healthy options as well. Tons of selections of yogurts and salads and fruits, but also a number of juices every morning. Just a huge variety of juices, and then also juices that you could make on demand. And a surprise for us was finding kombucha here as well. So they just have a great amount of healthy options in addition to some of your more indulgent options like the pastries and the donuts. So you can really pick your own experience. And we found that the breakfast buffet was pretty consistent.
They do also offer an a la carte breakfast at Soul Rising that features primarily keto, healthy, vegan, vegetarian options. That was a great option as well if you're looking for something that will force you into a healthy breakfast. The presentation of those items was amazing, and the food there is served in the same location as Souk Oven, which is available for lunch and for dinner. They do offer 2 separate menus for lunch and dinner, and the food there was fabulous. We absolutely loved Souk Oven. That is our favorite place to go. When you sit out on the deck there overlooking the pool, it's just a wonderful experience overall.
In general, their a la carte options were hands down the best options on property. It would be nice for a property this size to see slightly more a la carte options available, particularly for dinner, as you do have only the choice between Souk Oven and Fat Chameleon, the vegetarian vegan option. However, I was really surprised how much I liked that.
Yeah, the food was fantastic and it was so beautifully presented. A lot of the herbs and the garnishings are from the garden at the resort, which is a really, really cool experience. A great feature of their all-inclusive package is that they serve 80 different bottles of wine included in that package. If you're a wine lover, that is an amazing experience to have, to be able to select from a really extensive list of bottles.
We did have some fabulous cocktails on property, and we did actually have some pretty mediocre cocktails on property, and I think that goes to the inconsistency that we found. They do have a new beverage director here on property, so we are excited to see what changes are made. There is a particular cocktail called the Basilica that they offer at Fat Chameleon. If you love gin, I would go check it out, and I would order it particularly there because that bartender can do something special with that drink that just makes it absolutely fantastic. Hopefully by the time this review is posted, they'll have that consistency across property and you'll be able to get that drink everywhere. Our 6th category is facilities.
Facilities, we rate 4.5 stars. This property is amazing, and the all-inclusive package really includes a lot of facilities that you can take advantage of. The property features 3 different swimming pools. There are 2 at the beach, and there's 1 over water. All 3 are beautiful. You can have service at each pool. The hotel also has an amazing overwater spa. If you stay 5 nights, you do get a number of activities included, and one of those options is a 45-minute spa treatment. We did take part of that spa treatment and it was amazing. There's a wonderful fitness center that has a lot of great equipment. It's located next to the Skills Center, which is kind of their game room that features a golf simulator as well as a karaoke room. There is also a foosball table and some table games, which is great for a rainy day. The fitness center is a great space, beautifully air conditioned with really new modern equipment. They do have a wide variety of weights and machines as well, but the gym is kind of small, so it can get a bit crowded, particularly in the morning.
Another great thing that they have here on property is the water sports center. They have tons of free activities, and with those vouchers that you do get on property that do allow you to participate in certain activities, you can use those to go on a sunset cruise, a dolphin cruise. You can use them to do 30 minutes of jet skiing, which I think is an awesome perk. They also have free paddleboards, windsurfs, and sailing on a Hobie Cat. And they do have a separate dive center where they have snorkeling tours and activities. You can get your certification for scuba diving, and they even offer Patty's new mermaid certification. So if you've always thought about becoming a mermaid on vacation, this might be your opportunity.
Max really wanted to become a merman, but we ran out of time, so sorry, babe.
I'm kind of bummed about it. I'm a little bit bummed, I'm not gonna lie.
Next time.
But we did get the opportunity to do a night dive while we were here. We would have actually loved to do more diving, but we, again, kind of just ran out of time. There are some fabulous diving locations around here, but we really enjoyed our night dive. Beautiful sunset dive. And of course, as we mentioned before, this is a great area in the Maldives in terms of the marine life and the availability to access dive sites. If you are looking to get your certification while you're here, that is something that they offer and something we saw a lot of people taking advantage of.
And if you are a certified diver, one of the activities that you can choose with your voucher is a one-tank dive, which is an awesome experience and a great value.
However, we found that actually the diving was pretty reasonably priced here, as were most of the activities, which was one of the great parts about this property's facilities in general.
If you watch some of our other videos from the Maldives, you'll know that we're always biking around the island, and in fact, it's one of my favorite activities. Bikes here are available, but they do cost $10 per day, plus tax and service on top.
Which is not ideal considering how big the property actually is. That's something that we'd love to see them include in the future, considering that they have so many other activities that are included in their all-inclusive. It seems a little bit strange and mostly out of necessity in that they might not have enough bikes to actually facilitate all of the rooms.
Overall, Pullman has so many amazing activities and facilities across property. Having the option to include a couple of those free activities really gives you a chance to try something new that you might have never tried before. And we saw people taking advantage of all of the activities across property, which made it a really fun resort environment.
Another great facility that is included, you are able to do a 30-minute session with the photographer here on property, which we saw pretty much everyone take advantage of. You do get to choose one photo, but beware, you probably will end up paying for many more because that's pretty much the experience that almost everyone that we talked to had.
We happened to be here during Art Week, which is a special event that took place throughout the week. They brought in local artisans and craftspeople from local islands, and they had displays of their crafts across property across every day. They had a drumming ritual one night, as well as multiple people working on weaving, and you could find them across the property at random times. It was such an amazing experience to get to sit down with someone from a local island and actually learn how to do some of the weaving. I thought that was a really cool experience, and I really appreciated that they take that time to bring in the local artisans so people can learn a little bit more about Maldivian culture.
Various themed weeks is something that they do in rotation. If you are particularly interested in something and you have a little bit of flexibility from week to week, depending on what you're going to do, they do rotate a lot of these events. So make sure to reach out to the hotel and you can ask them specifically what they'll be doing while you're on property. Our seventh and final category is style.
Style, we rate 5 stars. This property is absolutely beautiful. It is fairly new, and you can really tell they have a really modern, elegant style that seems to be becoming more and more popular across the Maldives. Everything is really consistent, and I have to call out the lighting on property. At night, this property shines. It is absolutely beautiful, and all of the lighting is the same color, and it feels very warm and luxurious.
They've done a great job of unifying the style across property, and there's also a real sense of place. One of the things that we love to see in hotels is not just that the style is consistent and beautiful and thoroughly thought through, but that it also has some sense of the local area and the local place. And we've seen that across property here, lots of woods, lots of local crafts. They even have art on some of the buildings that's locally made. It's great when brands that do have properties around the world still retain some of that local style. One of the things I love are all the pops of color that they've introduced across property. A lot of beautiful contemporary furniture and a lot of accents on things that are really interesting. Even the roofs of the actual villas are not done in a traditional way. They're actually made out of a plastic composite instead of a palm frond, which is intended to make the roofs last a lot longer, but it's also allowed them to do a really cool two-tone color on tops of the roofs, which is something that you do see at certain points throughout property, but definitely from the air, it really is an exceptional thing that makes these villas really stand out.
We absolutely loved all of the comfortable seating arrangements around property at all of the bars and restaurants. It really felt like you could go somewhere and lounge out wherever you are, whether it's by the pool, at the hub, a saffron affair, or even at Soul Rising.
They've really done a great job of incorporating into the natural landscape as well. I think this property really blends in with the island. The lobby is a beautiful, modern looking construction, almost like this monolith that stands out of the island. And yet it still kind of looks naturally part of the environment that it's in. I also think that they've done a great job of really keeping a lot of the natural elements of this island. The sand pathways where the bikes and the buggies go, really minimal lighting throughout the evening and on the pathways, on the jetties, but still really beautiful accents. I think there's nothing that's overpowering on this property. And even though it is a fairly large property in terms of the number of rooms, it does feel very small and very quaint and elegant because of the way that they've kind of illustrated that style throughout.
Overall, we rate this property 4.2 stars. We've been recommending this property for years thanks to a great deal on luxury escapes. We were so excited to have the opportunity to get to experience it for ourselves, and it really didn't disappoint.
As Marin said, we have recommended this property a lot and will continue to do so because it really is a great value and a great property and a great intro to the Maldives for a lot of people. We've had friends, we've had tons of followers stay at this hotel, and it is definitely something that's worth checking out.
So if you like this video, be sure to give us a thumbs up.
And of course, if you don't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We have videos coming out weekly from around the Maldives and around the world.
If you follow us on Instagram, you will have already seen this entire stay play out on our stories and our feed. So if you don't already, be sure to follow us at Voyager Guru.
Be sure to also check out the playlist because there's many more shorts that we've posted from room tours and other experiences that we had here on property at Pullman and other hotels throughout the Maldives.
And be sure to check out the written version of this review and of other hotels and experiences around the world at voyagerguru.com.
We have a lot of things on our website, including full destination guides to every place that we go, as well as all of our reviews and helpful articles on tips, be it credit cards or other travel tips that'll help you make the most of your travel.
And as always, I'm Marin.
And I'm Max.
Or Voyager Guru. See you out there.